What's up guys, Maelstrom here. If you enjoyed then like and subscribe so I can keep on making these awesome videos for you guys. If you want the next part then tell me so below in the comments. Kurama was not a being that most would consider slow. Powerful? Yeah. Sure. Arrogant? He could probably give Orochimaru a run for his money. But despite his fondness for chakra bombs that could level mountains, or just, sitting on people, he really knew his way around a battlefield, and could be surprisingly tricky. If something caught his attention, his focus was instant, laser-like. And, okay, maybe he was a little hard to wake up. This time, though, waking up was a little stranger than usual. He didn't seem to be in a sewer, for one. Also, he didn't seem to be laying down. Did Naruto switch with me? I hope he knows I actually don't know that many ninjutsu. And what's the deal with not telling me before doing something this stupid? Okay, that was likely the exact reason he didn't tell me. Just exactly is going through your head, you stupid brat. His head crashed into the ground. It wasn't particularly gentle. Naruto, what the hell are you doing in there? I was asleep. What's going on? Bindings tightened around him, hard enough where he could actually feel that they were chains through his fur. Kurama growled. This was getting nowhere fast. Worse, he didn't even need to open his eyes to know that there was more than one being right in front of him that hated him with immense passion. Or Naruto. It was hard to tell. Lots of people tended to not distinguish them, which was annoying as hell. As long as it isn't those damn Uchiha. I hate those stupid control freaks, and I don't want to hear a word of it. Naruto. Still, he got no response from as well. Kurama would have once called him a warden, but after he removed the seal, and, well, trusted him a little more than was probably wise. The only thing keeping him actually bound was that he really didn't want to kill the kid, especially after Naruto stopped taking his chakra without asking. So maybe friend really was the correct term, as much as he wanted to gag when thinking about it. These two sources of hatred in front of him, they certainly didn't move like they were at full battle strength, so it was unlikely that Naruto just decided to mess with him and make him fight instead. But something was definitely up with Naruto right now. He usually responded right away, based on the chains, which were uncomfortably familiar. His enemy probably had talent with sealing. He growled again. If those bastards sealed Naruto, well, they certainly weren't going to get the same treatment as his friend. He didn't open his eyes. He didn't even try to stand up, to break the chains that were binding him, even though they didn't even feel like they were close to the magnitude really needed to seal him. No. Why would he give away an advantage like that? Especially when they decided to line up so perfectly like that? Minato was confused. The sensation was not totally unfamiliar to him, as his wife caused this state frequently. But battle was always a different matter. He always knew what to do, but not now. The Kiwabi had simply stopped. He had broken that man's control over the beast a minute prior, and all that it had done was close its eyes. This wasn't anything close to normal behavior. It barely reacted to Kushina's chains, either, which was completely baffling. Yet that was no reason not to take advantage of the strange situation. The unfortunate truth to the matter, the truth that Minato did not want to admit, was that Kushina would likely die soon. It was really rather simple. She was a Jinchuriki, and her Biju had been extracted. While it should have been possible to reseal the creature, especially bound as it was, Kushina was already deathly low on chakra, and would be immediately overwhelmed. Not to mention that his own chakra was low enough after teleporting several Biju bombs. In order to seal the Kiwabi away completely, well, he would need her help, making the situation only worse. The beasts were beings of chakra, though perhaps if he were only to seal the beast in parts. The attack came quickly, too quickly, compared to all the other attacks he had defended against previously. On reflection, he was actually unsure whether his body's refusal to move was the result of genuine surprise, or his subconscious realizing that Naruto was directly behind him, and would have easily been caught by the attack. But that was irrelevant at the moment. He no longer had the time for 3 seals. He barely had time for 1. Kushina? She tensed behind him. Of course. The beast seemed to freeze. The pressure of the Kiwabi's immense claw through their bodies ceased, and even Kushina's chains seemed to settle oddly on the creature's fur. Its eyes were open for the first time, and Minato almost faltered. Kushina's chains shattered as his seal activated, the beast contorting as it flew into Minato's infant son. Its departure was their death knell, its claws still real enough to tear through the rest of their bodies. But all he could think about was how strange it looked, for an expression like that to be on a face that evil. What could cause such a creature to feel such horror? Kurama found himself once more in a cage, though that was almost irrelevant. He was used to that. He knew where he was now. He knew when he was now, as impossible as that seemed. And so, due to his own stupidity, he had cost Naruto his parents once again. He had almost cost Naruto his life, simply because he assumed that malice meant an enemy. He tried to excuse the error by pointing out to himself that it was a perfectly reasonable assumption to make, given the recent Shinobi alliance and a great many people accepting Naruto, and even himself, as if not a friend, then an ally. Anybody else was trying to literally end the world. That thought rang hollow when he realized that a simple half-second of thought and observation would have meant Naruto could have grown up as a hero, like the one he had become, or at the very least, not treated like Kurama was. But the room was dark, the water was cold, and he would have a long time to think on exactly what went wrong and how he was going to fix it. Naruto smiled a lot. He smiled in the morning, as he looked around his dingy apartment and made cup ramen. He smiled as he ran through the streets of Konoha, getting his justice in little ways. And he smiled when he got caught. When someone paid attention to him. Sometimes, when they smiled back, it even reached his eyes. Kurama had heard many times from Naruto what his childhood was like. He had even taken advantage of his anger and grief many times in an attempt to wrest as much control as he could. But back then, he had barely paid attention unless Naruto's emotions were unstable enough for him to take the opportunity. His anger burned brightly, almost as much as the first time he was here. But the anger was not for his sake this time. He wanted to destroy the village even more now. Not the village itself, but about 19 out of 20 of the residents he wanted to kill slowly and painfully. But Naruto had taught him something. Before all this, older, wiser Naruto hadn't tried to get rid of his anger. Not completely, that is. Naruto was angry all the time, but he couldn't just kill everyone that he was mad at, even though he had the power to. Kurama would have probably ignored him if he had just done his usual "it's wrong" routine. No. He had given a better reason. The most satisfying revenge was to prove them wrong, directing the anger to make their entire world, their entire life, turn on its head. Don't destroy the body. Destroy what makes them an enemy. Destroy the hate. Naruto had done that to him. Done it for him. It had taken a long time, but both of them gained a friend. Oh, and he totally had permission to gloat about it afterwards. Naruto didn't do that step as often as he should, but Kurama thought it was important, and he had agreed, albeit reluctantly. Even if it was directed at him, he thought it was only fair. So this time, when he had finally had enough of watching Naruto's rejection and mistreatment, instead of trying to exploiting his anger to try and destroy as much as possible, he talked. Naruto, the boy himself, didn't seem to hear him. This was to be expected. Of course, he didn't know of his unwilling passenger, and had not received any sort of meditation training. This would take time. He had time. Naruto smiled, and he didn't know why. There was just something strangely good about everything. Of course it was a good prank. All of his pranks were good pranks, even when he got caught. But it didn't feel like the prank. It was like the sun shone just a little better, the air was just a little fresher, and his chest was just a little warmer. It felt almost like someone wanted him there. He wasn't even close to a Kyoku ramen, either. Perhaps this happiness came from the news he had gotten in the mail earlier today. He had been accepted into the academy. He was going to become a ninja, and someday, he would be strong enough to become acknowledged, and someday, he would become Hokage. He would be respected, just like the old man. Of course, he still had to wait even longer. Lessons wouldn't actually start for 3 more months, which felt like absolute torture. So yeah, Naruto didn't really understand why he was so happy all of the sudden. "Ooh, don't have to wait." Naruto froze with his hand on his apartment door, then quickly looked around. There was nobody in sight. "Hey, show yourself." "I'm not a ninja, brat. I'm inside you." Naruto scrunched up his face. "You aren't making any sense. Only ninja hide themselves." "I'm in your head, idiot." "Oh, I don't get it. Am I going crazy? Should I go to the hospital?" "If you were actually crazy, why would you ask the voice in your head for help?" "It doesn't matter anyway. You aren't crazy, unless you count the normal Naruto brand of crazy." "I'm sealed inside you." Naruto scratched the back of his head. "I don't understand, but what do you want with me, anyway?" I want you to become Hokage." What? But you'll need a lot more than just the stuff you learn at the academy. There are no shortcuts, and it will be hard work. You need to be more than a ninja. You need to be an exceptional one. So I'm going to make you one. Who are you? Why are you doing this for me? The voice was silent for a while, and Naruto started to open his front door again, but the response stopped him again. An apology, a promise, perhaps a return favor. Pick whatever you feel like. Naruto closed the door behind him, still clearly confused. Why name is Kurama? Kurama. The boy sounded out the word carefully. Thank you, I guess. Don't thank me just yet. You have a long day tomorrow. Kurama hadn't spoken to him for the rest of the evening, and Naruto soon forgot of his weird new head sensei. By the time he had actually woken up the next day, Naruto had shrugged the whole thing off, far more invested in planning his next series of pranks. And waking up, he was almost as bad as Kurama when it came to mornings, and he still had to eat breakfast. You're not eating cup ramen for breakfast. Naruto jumped, slamming his head against the open cabinet. Whoa. He ducked down, rubbing at the sore spot. Apparently the conversation yesterday wasn't just a weird dream. Naruto registered what he had actually said. Hey, ramen is the best. Kurama grunted. Debatable. That Ikaraku ramen place might be okay, Naruto, but that cup ramen crap is not. You need food with nutrients. Food with energy. Naruto looked distinctly offended. Ramen has plenty of energy. He looked back down at the cup in his hand. Well, maybe this stuff doesn't quite taste as good, but still. He shuffled his feet. I can afford to go out to eat every day. The implied statement was not lost on Kurama. No other merchant let Naruto anywhere near their shops. Even the few that tolerated him clearly overcharged for their products. But to Kurama, there was a very simple solution. And it's time you learn to get your own breakfast. Grab a kunai. Kurama-sensei, I don't think my practice kunai are going to be very useful. He had bought all sorts of equipment as soon as he had heard of his acceptance into the academy, but battle-ready tools were not something most shopkeepers would sell to most any academy student, not without permission from their instructor. And that wasn't even accounting for everyone's utter disdain for Naruto in particular. Acidly fixed. Go to the training grounds. Naruto rolled his eyes, but grabbed his keys and made his way outside. He had barely locked the door and started out in the direction of the academy before Kurama stopped him. On those grounds, idiot, you're only going to find sharp kunai on the actual, graduated shinobi training grounds. How was I supposed to know that's what I was looking for? I thought I was just gonna ask for a sharp one or something. Rat, you're going to look for a discarded one. Naruto growled. Fine. Are you gonna tell me why we're looking for one that's no good anymore? Or are you just gonna make me guess? I don't even know why I'm listening to you in the first place. You say you're going to help me be Hokage, but I'm already gonna do that. You say I can't eat ramen anymore, call me an idiot just like everybody else, and then just tell me stuff without explaining anything. The voice was silent, and so Naruto ran on seemingly alone. He briefly wondered how mad the weird voice actually was. Even though this Kurama was even less polite than he was, there was something in the voice that he had only heard in Old Man Hokage. Naruto knew that he was obviously in the right, but an odd sense of guilt settled around him for a reason he couldn't comprehend. So when the voice actually returned, he jumped slightly. Perhaps you should not listen to me. He almost skated to a stop in the middle of the street, but had just enough of a mind to duck into an alleyway instead. What? Why? Am not a ninja. Okay, but you said you were gonna make me one. Am not human. Well duh. That would be really weird. I don't think another human could fit in my head, unless they were really, really tiny. Hut up. I wasn't finished. Naruto closed his mouth. And the Kiwabi no Katsune. The what? The growl in his head was almost deafening, and actually kinda hurt. Naruto, I attacked Kanye. I killed hundreds. Killed your parents. Naruto's stomach lurched. He grabbed a fistful of his shirt, pressing his fist hard against his chest. What? Why? No. He stumbled into the wall, sliding down to sit roughly on the ground. Naruto, lift up your shirt. He didn't, but already knew what was there. It was that weird tattoo. He didn't know where it came from, and never really questioned why it was there, but somehow it seemed more important now. Hat is me. The previous Hokage gave up his life to seal me into you, to save the village. Naruto did not know about this yet. It would be taught at the academy, and even then, Naruto would only have paid attention to what sounded interesting. Naruto looked up from the ground, staring vaguely up at the sky. You don't seem very happy about it. That was not what Kurama was expecting. 'Tis a natural consequence of my actions. I no longer resent my prison, though it does get boring. Naruto blinked in confusion for a few seconds. Oh no, That's not what I meant at all. I meant attacking the village and stuff. You sounded sad, I suppose. More angry that I made the same mistake twice. He braced his hands against the alley wall, pushing himself to his feet. And you still want to make me an awesome ninja, right? Yes. Then you don't have to say anything else. You know. And with that, he started to run. Naruto stared at the dead rabbit, kunai in hand. The knife itself was chipped in places, and probably not battle ready, but it was still sharp enough to kill a rabbit. But at this point, he was kinda unsure what to do with it. Idiot. Naruto looked at the rabbit dubiously. But there's, like, blood everywhere. I don't think I'm supposed to eat blood and stuff. The fox in his stomach scoffed. Ever was a problem for me. But if you're that squeamish, just cut a bigger hole and let the blood drain out. Pretty simple. Naruto hesitated. Emmett, Kit, do you want to be a ninja or not? It's just blood. Shinobi deal with blood all the time. He dragged the kunai across, letting a lot more blood spill out. Good job. Now just wait a few minutes, and you can eat some breakfast. Naruto glanced at his stomach. Shouldn't I cook it or something? Don't bother. Cooking only affects taste, and I've always preferred raw. Besides, if you're looking to become a ninja, fires only make it easy for the enemy to find you. It's a dead giveaway. He glanced back at the rabbit. Okay then. Rabbit wasn't all that bad. Naruto decided it wasn't as good as ramen, naturally, but it wasn't bad. A little bland, but a lot more filling than instant ramen. And his new sensei assured him that he would actually get hungry less often, which if it was true, would be awesome. Also, it was free, meaning it was even less expensive than the instant ramen he got from the grocery. The only real bad thing is that it was hard to catch a rabbit. It had taken him almost 2 hours to finally catch one. But apparently that was just part of training. If he couldn't catch a rabbit, he wasn't nearly good enough to be a ninja. That's what sensei had said, at least. But Naruto knew better. He really meant that when he got better at being a ninja, getting food would be a lot easier. So he had a much more upfront motivation for training. Speaking of training, sensei, when are you gonna teach me cool jutsu? Don't have hands to do any handshills, so I never really paid attention to ninjutsu. And genjutsu is particularly distasteful to me. What? I'm not gonna learn anything cool? Training your body is equally important. Same with learning to use weapons properly. Besides, your academy teacher will show you ninjutsu. Naruto's shoulders sagged. I'm not complaining. I understand that this stuff is important, but you really can't teach me anything else? I bother to pay attention if you can't even use it. He rubbed the back of his head. I guess so. It just sucks. Hawk. I did pay attention to a style I never expected to be able to take advantage of. Naruto's head snapped up. Wuinjutsu. Sealing jutsu? What's that? Tease what traps me inside you. Naruto made a face. I don't think I want to know how to do that. 'Tis very useful to defeat an opponent who is stronger than you. Then I'll just train to be stronger. Naruto heard a deep sigh from inside him. Who will not always get the chance. Regardless, that is not the only thing that Fuinjutsu are used for. Some lower-level techniques include sealing equipment and supplies in a scroll for ease of travel and producing explosive tags. Naruto's focus sharpened. The explosives interested him regardless, but his sensei's insistence on him carrying supplies for every scenario was a large contributing factor for his constant soreness during training. And as you get better, it is possible to entrap and immobilize targets for easy retrieval or disposal. Naruto translated that into new prank opportunities and easy hunting. True master can do almost whatever his imagination produces. Alright, you've sold me. 'Tis not an easy art. It requires study and precision. Naruto hesitated for all of 3 seconds. No, if it's gonna let me do awesome stuff, then I don't care. Right. Go buy some paper, ink, and a brush. When you can say that each of your letters are exactly the same as the last, wake me up. What? Us do it, moron. Do you want to learn seals or not? Naruto tucked his chipped kunai back into his belt and rubbed his sore muscles. Well, at least I get a break from the training. I just wish he wasn't an ass about it. Can hear that, you know. Naruto jolted upright. What? Am sealed inside you. I can hear your thoughts, especially when you practically shout them like that. Oh, you don't have to talk to me out loud. Right. Naruto walked all the way back to his apartment before he realized that he still needed to buy the supplies. There, I finished. Naruto put the brush down onto his kitchen table, The only table actually suitable enough for writing. Not good enough. Naruto gaped. What? That's my best writing yet. Food writing is only half of what I wanted. It needs to be consistent. If you can write the same thing 20 times in a row, with only minimal differences, then I will let you advance to the next task. Naruto groaned. That's so unfair. I'm not being any more difficult than necessary. You will not succeed at my next task if you cannot complete this one. Mistakes in sealing often means losing fingers, or worse. I don't want to have to heal your injuries every 2 minutes. Okay, it still sucks. If it makes you feel any better, I believe you are close. He sighed. I know. It's just, I understand why, but I really wanted something to show before I started the academy stuff. Kurama could already tell where this was going. You already have something to show off. Why do you think half your day has been physical exercise? Why do you think I've been lecturing you on your hunting skills? Your taijutsu is not unremarkable, and while your stealth could still use some work, you are improving at a steady rate. I just want something really cool. And there's only, like, a month left. A month usually felt like an eternity to someone as young as Naruto, and as active as he was, it usually felt even longer. But he was starting to understand just how much time training took, especially when it took this much study. Naruto could almost feel Kurama-sensei's smile. Have no doubt you will. Look at your paper. His hand had been idly writing, almost completely out of habit. Naruto wasn't as observant as his teacher was, but the past 15 lines looked almost identical. Oh, you have one final task. Go steal something someone else has written on. You need a handwriting sample for this. Naruto just gave a simple nod and rushed out of his apartment. He was a lot faster than he was a few months ago. Not only was he quite a bit stronger from his training, but Kurama had taught him a few useful techniques. One was how to find his own chakra. That was pretty easy for Naruto. Less easy was directing it to different parts of his body. It was all worth it when he realized that he could expel a little with each footstep to push himself forward, like tiny explosions or something. And his first attempts really were like small explosions. It took a while for him to not immediately stumble and faceplant, and even longer for the little boosts to be consistent enough to not send him into a wall. But being able to jump really high, and even run along the roofs like the other ninja was wonderful. That more than anything made him feel like his dream was closer than ever before. And of course, it made it just that much easier to escape after a prank. As long as he didn't prank other ninja, of course. Not that he would refrain from doing so if they were being particularly stupid. So it meant that as he grabbed a stack of papers from a market stall owned by an idiot, of course, it was pretty easy to lose any pursuers and make it back to his apartment within a minute. LL right, Kit. Good job. Now sit down and copy his style. Naruto frowned. Why would I do that? He gasped. Is this so we can pretend to be that guy and get him in trouble? Sounds awesome. Not sure what that has to do with sealing, though. He heard a chuckle from his stomach. Exactly. I have no doubt that you'll find great use in this skill. But for sealing, this is just a further test of your ability to copy things precisely. There are more than letters used in sealing, you know. Naruto nodded. Right. I think I get it. FTER this. I believe you will be ready to make your own explosive tags. You mean those things they wouldn't let me buy yet? Exactly. Naruto studied the paper more intensely than he had anything in his life. Boom. The training dummy exploded into splinters, which Naruto dodged. He looked back at the three others in a similar state. It wasn't a terrible loss. The training field was equipped with hundreds of them for this exact purpose. Think we can safely say that you've mastered the exploding seal. At least the basic one. There are more kinds? But you need to know more theory. I thought you were more interested in the storage scroll. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Yeah. Well, he had bought a pouch for his weapons and materials. He hadn't bought a proper pack for that exact reason, and carrying around everything Kurama insisted he carry was tiresome. All he had was a rough civilian handbag, and he hadn't even bothered to decorate it. Over the last 3 months, Kurama had even convinced him that his ninja apparel could use some color correction. Naruto still couldn't deal with only wearing dark blue and green, but he had been convinced to tone down his bright orange to a dull red that reminded Kurama of his own fur. Kurama noted with enthusiastic amusement that this had caused many of the adults no small amount of alarm. Naruto had to admit that this had drastically improved his stealth, and made it a lot easier to hunt in general. Before learning the storage seal, Naruto, I would suggest that you make a few extra explosive seals. I believe 50 will fit into your tool pouch with relative ease. This wasn't nearly as dangerous as most civilians assumed. As with all sealing techniques, They had to be armed with chakra before use and then activated. Explosive seals required quite a lot of chakra to arm if they were to be any use in combat. Even after activation, this particular version of the seal had a 3-second fuse. Naruto had no trouble with the chakra part of things, unlike other ninja who might need to use the explosives, but actually making new ones in combat was not an option. He wasn't exactly a fast writer, not when he had to be that precise. Naruto sighed. Alright, Sensei, that's going to take ages, though. I'm sure you can finish before class begins tomorrow. Can't you? Naruto rolled his eyes. Alright, Sensei, won't you use that tone with me? If you want to use any of the advanced techniques, you need to get faster. I just wish I could have more time before I start. Won't you want to learn ninjutsu? He grumbled. I do. He shook the bag by his side. I just feel like I should be more prepared and not drag this clunky thing everywhere. Like that you are thinking of this as a mission. But many more aspiring ninja are less prepared than you. You can bring a bag to class. And if I'm practicing ninjutsu all the time, will I even get this scroll thing done in time? And you will have to work harder. It will not take you 4 years to learn it, even with distractions. Fine. Here is that determination from before. Are you going to be a ninja or not? Naruto shook his head. Of course I am. I'm going to become Hokage. You know. He retracted his fist from the air. But with all the stuff you keep saying, do not tell you the truth to discourage you. I only prepare you for the difficulty. Naruto sighed, his smile relaxing. Thanks. I don't know what I'd do without you. Kurama fell silent, now significantly more uncomfortable. Without me, you'd have a loving family, training from the best ninja in Konoha, and all the recognition you wanted. The first day of class was interesting, to say the least. Naruto never expected that something could be both exciting and boring. Okay, he hadn't expected for that particular feeling to extend to something other than Fuinjutsu. Iruka-sensei was he was startlingly similar to Kurama-sensei. He acted plenty nice when teaching, but fall asleep in class once. Well, long story short, he had 2 teachers yelling at him at the same time. Kurama had told him that this math stuff was important too, but without Kurama constantly rephrasing stuff in the textbook or the lecture, all it would do was make his brain feel fuzzy. The forehead leaf thing was exciting because he got to tell Iruka that he already knew how to do it, but frustratingly, he wasn't the only student who already knew how to use chakra, and apparently it was also to teach focus and concentration, which was boring. Even worse, Kurama seemed to agree with him. Even though last time Kurama made him do this, he stopped really fast and moved on to more interesting stuff almost right away. But since it was kinda hard to keep the leaf there for a long time, maybe both his sensei had a point. The shinobi rules were also kinda boring, and Kurama said that some of them didn't matter as much, and could be broken, so he didn't see the point. He really wanted to tell Iruka-sensei this, but then he'd have to explain why, and Kurama always told him that nobody could know about him. Attacking the village was a really serious thing, after all. But since learning the rules meant he could actually start sparring with other students, he made an effort. Besides, some of the rules were already things that Kurama was trying to teach him, though he said them with a lot less confusing words. Classes stopped well before dark, though, which meant more training time and infuriatingly, more study, since apparently, sealing objects into things was significantly more complicated than sealing chakra into something, like the exploding tags. Even more infuriatingly, Kurama wouldn't just let him copy another person's seal, since it was always slightly different based on what you wanted to store. He had to know what each individual symbol did and how it all fit together. Even what order to write them in mattered for some stupid reason. He didn't even have that much time to learn it, since Kurama still insisted on doing physical training and still wouldn't let him eat ramen. Well, he did let him use up the ramen he still had in his pantry so he could have an easy lunch at the academy. But the only rest he got was actually sleeping. Okay, maybe the class itself lets me rest a little. My muscles aren't that sore. Exactly. Naruto found it extremely unfair that his sensei could literally tell if he was lying and just trying to get a break. You aren't a very good liar, Kit. It's one of the things we need to work on. Having a sensei that could literally read your thoughts was even worse. Whatever you say. The academy classes were getting better, though, and worse at the same time. He actually managed to impress Iruka-sensei when it came to the beginner bukijutsu, even though he definitely wasn't the best in the class at throwing stuff. Kurama had to remind him that other students were trained by their families before attending as well. And even though Iruka criticized his forms, He was almost top of the class in Taijutsu. They still were doing that stupid leaf exercise thing, though they did start teaching about the basics of hand seals and more exciting stuff. They had more stupid classes like history that Kurama insisted were important, too. Hokage needed to know about a lot of uninteresting stuff, and apparently, he wouldn't be picked even if he was super strong if he couldn't pass any written exams. Aside from the lesson on the previous Hokage, it was almost the second week of classes before the history class actually got any interesting. He got to learn of the attack of the Kiwabi no Kitsune. He almost felt embarrassed to hear it secondhand, but it always felt awkward to ask it of his sensei. The actual attack wasn't told in that much detail, but he learned about the other tailed beast, something Kurama definitely hadn't mentioned. I mean, if I had brothers, I'd probably at least have mentioned them in passing. We aren't on the best of terms. Naruto. Still, Kurama, did you know anything about my parents? There was a significant pause. Did you seriously not notice? One of them was mentioned in this very lesson. Naruto groaned. Are you seriously going to be like this today? Am only trying to make you think things through like you should. Your father was a sealing master by the name of Minato. Naruto clamped his hand over his mouth to prevent himself from shouting in the middle of class. Like the fourth Hokage, Kurama projected an intense feeling of irritation, and Naruto cringed a little. Already told you that he sealed me, didn't I? No, you just told me the Hokage did. You didn't say anything about my dad. I apologize. It's hard to remember what you do and do not know. Did you know my mom too? Not much. Her name was Kushina Uzumaki, so it is likely that your father learned his sealing arts from her. She has some annoying chakra chains. From what I heard, she was a firebrand, but I don't have much experience with her in particular. Oh, Naruto took a deep breath. Thank you, Kurama. Naruto, pay attention. His head whipped up to the front of the class. Sorry, Iruka-sensei. Now, as I was saying, it was only a matter of time for his behavior to become a little suspicious, though most people tended to avoid him, just like the rest of the village, and Naruto was very used to that. But it was only a matter of time that someone noticed that he spent every recess in the corner with a scroll and ink. Still, none of the students really cared quite enough to actually approach him. Kiba, the only kid who consistently beat him in Taijutsu, looked over quite a few times, but it was Iruka who was the first to actually come over and see what was going on. Naruto, I never see you take this many notes in class. Naruto, who never actually noticed him approach, jumped. Iruka-sensei, sorry, I should have paid more attention. I guess I could take more notes. Iruka put his hand to his forehead, smiling a little. No, you don't have to. Naruto, you are doing fine when it comes to your tests. Despite your little sleeping habit, you're just more of a physical learner. That's okay. He pointed to Naruto's scroll, where lines of Naruto's oddly precise handwriting filled almost half the paper already. The letters themselves were rather small. But I've never seen you write that much before. Are you an author? Naruto blushed. While Kurama had told him to keep his sealing skills relatively secret, he also said that telling people like your sensei or the Hokage the truth was important. No, Iruka-sensei, I'm just trying to make a storage scroll. Like, Fuyunu no Jutsu. Iruka frowned. That doesn't look much like a storage scroll. Yeah, I'm still learning what each little thing does. Then I can store things better and I'm not really confused when I get to the complicated stuff. Naruto carefully didn't mention his other sensei, Kurama. There were some things only the Hokage was supposed to know. If he asked, basically he just wouldn't lie to him. You're still terrible at lying, Kit. Iruka nodded, impressed. While sealing arts weren't necessarily restricted to a certain rank of shinobi, it was a rare specialization, at least nowadays. The few people who knew what they were doing usually weren't actually full ninja. They made their money creating the basic supplies for everyone else. It was a difficult art, regardless, especially without a formal teacher. Naruto was a good student, if a little unconventional, but he wouldn't have expected him to take an interest in something like this, especially something as non-awesome sounding as a storage scroll. Good job, Naruto. If you need help with anything, I can probably find someone with some experience in seals for you to learn from. At the same time, most people who made the scrolls actually didn't know anything much past the functionality of what they were making. He just smiled. That's okay, Iruka-sensei. I have a pretty good source of information, you know. Iruka just shook his head and smiled back. That's Naruto for you. Author's note: the compose key Linux is a lifesaver in fics like this, which require different people thinking in the same head. I can type characters like and alternate quotation marks and other symbols like, and with absolutely no issue whatsoever just by combining the components. The academy stunk, and unfortunately, Kurama knew the reason. He couldn't do anything about it, either, other than just have him train more than he already was. The problem was that whatever his written exam scores were, and no matter how good he was at taijutsu or bukijutsu, he still couldn't create a proper clone due to just how little chakra they required. Naruto couldn't manage to separate the proper amount. He would overcharge the thing and it would either fail to form, or become barely distinguishable as Naruto. Of course, Kurama knew that in these cases, it was possible to graduate the academy with special conditions. Rock Lee was one such student. Last time, it was only because Naruto's ability to take a written test was terrible that he never was able to take advantage of this. But Kurama also knew just how much the multi-shadow clone technique suited both Naruto's fighting style, cunning, and massive chakra reserves. Of course, one method to get this technique would be a very simple talk with the old man Hokage about the situation, an explanation of his chakra and why it would not be dangerous for him to use, and a request to use that technique as a substitute test for graduation. It might take a bit of convincing, but it wouldn't be too difficult. Kurama wanted to give Naruto a final exam of his own, though. Besides, asking the Hokage directly would likely put suspicion on Naruto for even knowing that the technique existed in the first place. He really wanted to see if Naruto could actually pull the mission off without detection this time. And if he failed, he would have a pretty good excuse for doing something that would otherwise be very illegal. Mizuki was still a teacher at the academy, a person students were expected to trust. So when Mizuki approached him with the alternate method, he remained silent in Naruto's stomach and let things play out as they did the first time. This time, well, the village didn't notice. Naruto passed his stealth test, and now that Kurama was there, talking with him, he had additional advice in completing the jutsu once he actually had it in his hands. Kurama didn't have much experience with ninjutsu in general, but this was Naruto's signature jutsu. Even more than the Rasengan, he knew how it worked, inside and out. They even had enough time to take a look at the 8 trigram sealing style, just to show Naruto how complex seals could get. Kurama almost immediately regretted doing this, as it was very difficult to pull him away in time before Mizuki caught him off guard. And apparently, enough of Kurama's teachings had hammered themselves into Naruto's head that he actually realized that something was wrong with Mizuki when he asked for the scroll. As it was, shortly after negotiations broke down, a very beaten-up Mizuki was carried back to the village by 4 clones while Naruto ran to report to the Hokage with the actual scroll of seals and to apologize for stealing it. Of course, Kurama just marveled at just how weak a Chunin could be. Of course, surprise and a good bit of arrogance definitely had something to do with Naruto's victory, both times. But still, he didn't even have to give Naruto any help. If Naruto didn't have the 8 trigram seal eating up his chakra to hold him, it would have been even easier. Needless to say, the Hokage had been surprised, seeing Naruto return with a forbidden scroll that he didn't even know was taken. GG. Sorry for borrowing this. Naruto swung open the glass case reinforced with seals and dropped it in with a loud thunk. Sarutobi Hiruzen just barely stopped himself from spitting tea over all the paperwork on his desk. What? The case itself was just barely out of his line of sight, given the large stacks of paper all over his desk, but it was still quite a shock. Naruto rubbed the back of his head nervously. I thought it was a test, you know. Mizuki said it was, like another way to graduate. Hiruzen stood up rapidly. Mizuki, you say? Don't worry, I beat him up and stuff. Some of my clones should be here in a bit, unless they find some of those ANBU guys before they get here to give him to. Shadow clones. So he already managed to learn the jutsu? Did he find anything else in there in that short amount of time? How long ago did he take the scroll? But that wasn't as important. Naruto, how did you get that scroll in the first place? Did someone help you? Naruto just stared at him, confused. No, I was just quiet and stuff. You look really busy. Hiruzen had, of course, felt his presence in the room. Naruto didn't visit as often as before, but he was one of the few that he allowed almost free rein in his office, and he was very used to his presence. He sometimes saw Naruto with his homework occasionally. Every child needed someone to be with every once in a while, even though Hiruzen himself didn't have much time to spare for the boy. But that wasn't the unusual part. When Naruto was younger, he would take advantage of his inattention all the time to pull pranks. I meant all the alarms and safeguards. How did you get it out of the case without triggering everything? Naruto gave him a sheepish grin. Oh, you might have to reapply a lot of the seals. I broke a lot of them. He raised an eyebrow. Without triggering the alarms? Naruto just nodded. I've been learning a lot about what all the symbols and stuff mean, and how to not make things explode. I still don't know what half of them did, but I thought I'd give it a try. See if I could figure it out. Unlike Iruka, the Hokage knew the specializations of all the shinobi in his village. And while it was heartwarming to know that Naruto was following in the footsteps of his parents, even accidentally, and apparently his instincts for the art were quite good, the only seal master still alive, Jiraiya, was not currently in the village. "Naruto, where have you been learning seals?" Naruto's heart dropped into his stomach. This was the one person that Kurama told him that he should tell the truth to first, but he didn't expect it to be so soon. "Kurama-sensei, Hokage-sama." Hiruzen paused, not at the name, though he did not recognize it, which was a problem in itself. But Naruto hadn't actually called him Hokage-sama for years, maybe ever. Naruto felt guilty about something. His thoughts firmly on the subject of Mizuki's betrayal. He asked the question, "Who is he? Does he live in the village?" In answer, Naruto just pointed at his stomach in silence, directly at the 8 trigram seal under his shirt. He very carefully set his tea back on its saucer. "What?" Hiruzen asked calmly. Naruto still felt the tension regardless, and immediately was on the defensive. "I know he attacked the village and stuff, but he's a lot different now." "And nicer?" Well, he's at least nice to me. Hiruzen wasn't entirely sure what to think. An angry and raging Kiwabi was to be expected. A Kiwabi bent on turning Naruto against the village was everything he feared, though he took solace in the notion that it was unlikely for Naruto to be old enough for the beast to make contact. A Kiwabi that was acting nice in that same effort was even less likely, but infinitely more dangerous. A Kiwabi that was not only trying to be friendly with Naruto, but teaching him the very thing that locked it away to begin with, teaching him a name that even he hadn't heard. Of course, the name could be fake, but it was still alarming. And yet Naruto knew that it was indeed the Kiwabi, and that it had attacked the village on the day he was born, perhaps even who died in the attack. Based on the odd expression on his face, it didn't make sense even for a schemer like the fox. He had a healthy fear now, even more than before. He was fairly certain he could no longer count on anything he could have planned in advance. He had no idea how the fox would behave anymore, though it did not take him long to formulate his next question, and his next test. At least Naruto still seemed to trust him. In particular, "About your sealing, what is it that you want to learn? What is your goal?" He had watched Naruto since before he attended the academy. Unless something significant changed, he wasn't a boy to do something unless he had some sort of goal in mind, like becoming Hokage. As difficult as that path would be for him, and it would give him a good idea of just how much the Kiwabi had influenced the boy. "Well, at first, I wanted to figure out how to break my seal." Hiruzen struggled to keep his face neutral, but Kurama said that was a bad idea, and wouldn't work anyway. "Somebody named Jiraiya has the key, and nobody would trust him anyway unless I got really strong where people thought I could handle him." Kurioser, even he didn't know that. "Handle him? What do you mean?" "Well, like, strong enough where he wouldn't take over if the seal wasn't there." He looked up from his stomach. "That was the plan, right?" "Not one I knew about." "What makes you say that?" "Well, the seal was made loose." "What?" His efforts to remain neutral had failed utterly. "I looked at what the seal was supposed to look like in that scroll." Naruto jabbed a thumb at the case behind him. "And it was loose." "Not by that much, but it looked like it was done on purpose." "Kurama thinks so too." Hiruzen grumbled internally. It would have been nice to be informed of these plans, but his anger faded when he realized who it was that made these plans, and Jiraiya's state of mind directly after the incident. If Jiraiya had even known, the plan could have easily been spur of the moment on the fourth's part. "So what is your plan?" "Well, Naruto blushed. "I know it's kinda stupid, but I wanted to make a new seal. One that, like, projects his chakra from my body so he doesn't have to be trapped anymore." Hiruzen's eyes sharpened. "But, like, only lets us give each other chakra, but prevents taking it. So people don't get really worried and stuff." "I see." "So if the Kiwabi actually went on a rampage, Naruto could literally just deny him access through his body." Though the phrase "give each other chakra" was still a little worrying. "But even Kurama doesn't know how to do that, so I don't know how I'm gonna do it. And I'd still need the key." "I'll send a message to Jiraiya." Naruto gasped. "That doesn't give you permission to try. That's for him to decide. And it would be good to have a seal master actually look over what he was being taught, just in case the fox was playing the long game from an angle he hadn't anticipated." His smile only wavered slightly before reasserting itself. "Thanks, Gigi. You're the best." At that moment, The door slammed open and Iruka rushed in. Hokage-sama. Mizuki was arrested, and I think Naruto is missing. Hi Iruka-sensei. It appears, Naruto, that your presence has been missed. Iruka rushed over and quickly checked him for injuries. Naruto, what happened? I heard that you were seen with Mizuki, but I couldn't find you anywhere. Oh, so my clones dispelled themselves already. Yeah, he told me about a secret, different way to graduate, but he was lying, so I beat him up with the new jutsu I learned from that scroll. He pointed at the case. Iruka paled and looked at the Hokage nervously. Hiruzen just nodded. Don't worry, it was nothing too dangerous for the boy to learn. Given his situation, the multi-shadow clone jutsu was only classified as a kinjutsu due to its extensive chakra cost. He blinked in surprise. Shadow clones? The clones were the only thing that he seemed to have any significant trouble with at the academy. Hiruzen gave him a significant look. Those with naturally large chakra reserves often have great trouble with chakra control. Naruto cleared his throat nervously, looking at his teacher. So, if that wasn't the secret way to pass, I still have to go back to the academy next year, don't I? After a quick glance at the Hokage, Iruka smiled. Well, they weren't conventional clones, and they were a little late, but I think it counts, don't you? Of course, beating up a Chunin had a little to do with his opinion of Naruto's ability to become a ninja, but he wasn't about to tell that to the boy and give him any ideas. Even stealing the scroll might have done it. Really, but he couldn't be too sure that the Hokage hadn't just let him take it. He liked Naruto himself, but the Hokage tended to like him a little more than what was safe. Sure, Iruka had quite a bit more perspective on Naruto's behavior than he did when Naruto first entered his class, but he wouldn't have even trusted himself with such an object as a kid. Not to mention what Mizuki the traitor could have done with it. But seeing Naruto's shining eyes looking up at him, he could kind of understand. Come on, kid, let's go get some ramen. This is a big moment, don't you think? Iruka was impressed. It was, of course, to be expected that Naruto was particularly excited. He got to be treated by his teacher to his favorite food, and he even got his sensei's own headband. He didn't even seem to be particularly bothered that it was all scratched up and used. Iruka wasn't someone who saw the value in polishing something that would only make you more visible. In fact, if he didn't know any better, he'd say Naruto liked it even more, as his fingers traced the scrapes more than once before he actually tied it around his head. No, it wasn't that. It was what he ordered. Now, Iruka knew that Naruto loved ramen. Most of his lunches were ramen, and he even knew from the Hokage himself that this was his favorite restaurant as well as the only one that would have him. But when he asked for custom toppings, they were rather strange. Not necessarily bad, just strange for a 12-year-old. Especially since Iruka knew what food pills were made of. They certainly would be a bit of a strange combination. Even Tuki looked surprised. Well, that was more likely due to the fact that Naruto only ate 3 bowls, even when it was all being paid for. But Iruka knew a little of why they might be a little more filling. It was just as well, because those bowls were at least twice as expensive as normal. Naruto, what you did was impressive, and you do deserve to graduate, but I don't want you to do something like that again. Do you hear me? Naruto looked up from his bowl. Okay. Yeah, if you had come to me and talked about it, we could have avoided this whole thing. He sighed. Yeah, I feel a little stupid about all this. I mean, to even get that scroll thing, I had to disable a whole load of seals, and I know that's something you didn't teach in class. I should have stopped then, but I just couldn't give up. You know, everybody respects ninja. And Naruto glanced at Iruka's worried expression, and seemed to understand almost immediately. I know what's inside me. I know why everybody doesn't like me. But if I'm a ninja, or maybe only once I become Hokage, it's a chance. You know, I have to take it. I have to show people I can do it. Protect everyone. You know, maybe people will like me then. Iruka opened his mouth slightly, a little unsure what to say. Eventually he just leaned in and gave a small hug. Naruto gasped softly. I'm sure I've been nothing but your overly strict teacher, but just remember that you still have people that look out for you. Naruto, remember that for me? Okay, alright, Iruka-sensei, I will. Naruto's smile didn't show his teeth, but he kept it all the way until he tucked himself into bed. Naruto was not a morning person, and that did not change during his years at the academy. It took him at least 30 minutes to wake fully, so in order to not be late to class every single day he attended, he compensated by starting the process earlier. It didn't make the process any more fun, but it helped him get yelled at less often. It also helped him actually wake up early enough to catch something for breakfast if he forgot the night before, which was an embarrassingly common occurrence. He couldn't even blame Kurama for not reminding him, since he never actually had to eat anything, even when he wasn't sealed. He just liked to. But right now, he was cursing that habit, since he didn't actually have class. In fact, he wouldn't even be assigned a Junin sensei until the day after tomorrow. Kit, we have work to do. Naruto groaned. Training again? Can I have one day off? Thought you would be excited to get rid of that crappy handbag. Naruto found himself very suddenly upright in bed. You think I'm ready? You tell me. Now come on and grab a clean scroll. Unless you want to eat first? His earlier fatigue was completely clear, and with a single bounce on the mattress, pushed himself not just into an upright position, but at a decent pace toward his ninja gear. No, I can eat later. I've been waiting way too long for this already. The scroll Naruto had reserved for this purpose wasn't all that big. Weight was always a precious commodity for ninja on the move. Or at least that's what Kurama kept telling him every time he complained about carrying his bag. Water was especially difficult, and the most often needed on a mission. So a canteen of the stuff was going to be the first accessible sealed item. More could be added later, which was kinda the other reason for using a small scroll. He had several places to strap them on his outfit as needed. Unfortunately, he had to carry all his extra exploding tags the traditional way. Storing a seal in another seal was not a good idea, to say the least. Even with the inactive ones, he didn't really want to risk it. Then there was the sorts of items that didn't really need to be on hand all the time, but were useful if something went wrong. Those went in there too, like fire-starting materials, or a sleeping bag, a large portion of waterproof cloth, some rope, food pills in case he had to travel somewhere that didn't have anything readily available to eat. And finally, he added some spots for extra shuriken and kunai, which he currently did not own, other than a few dozen of each in rather cruddy condition that he swiped from training fields over the years, and a few of better quality he snuck out of class when they were practicing with real weapons. You'll go shopping later. Naruto, go snipe a bird or something for breakfast. You're supposed to complete your registration in less than an hour. Right, so there was a deadline today. Thanks, Kurama. I completely forgot about that. Naruto rolled up the scroll and tucked it into one of the straps he had sewn to the front of his uniform, slipping the brush into the receptacle on his arm. He smirked. Alright, let's do this. Naruto, you need a shower. Aw, come on. The actual registration process was easier than Naruto was expecting. A lot less annoying, too, given the fact that paperwork was involved. But Kurama made sure he always knew things like his height, weight, and stuff like that. Something to do with training. He didn't bother to pay that much attention, and Kurama hadn't yelled at him for it, so it probably didn't matter that he didn't know the reason. The rest of the questions were a weird kind of personality test, but that was also kinda easy, since it wasn't like he was trying to be somebody else. And there was an official photo thing to be put on the graduation yearbook thing. It was just as stuffy as all the other years, but this one was more important or something. He wore Iruka's headband for that one. Oh, and Gigi's stupid grandson tried to do a sneak attack in the middle of everything. Okay, maybe he's not stupid, just really annoying. It's his teacher that's stupid. I hope he doesn't pick up his teacher's stupidness. But he still had the rest of the day to do a proper shopping trip. Naruto hadn't really had one of those for a long time. Maybe once or twice he went out to buy some milk, or sometimes he ran out of ramen for school lunches, which wasn't often. He bought in bulk. Maybe he bought some ink or paper. None of those were particularly expensive. Even his visits to Ikaraku ramen were infrequent enough that his Gama-chan was quite full from his monthly stipend, enough where he had to store some of his money elsewhere, and he needed the money. Proper ninja tools were not inexpensive. He wasn't even being overcharged, either. The kunoichi merchant was actually nice to him for some reason. Plus, he watched other ninja buy their stuff, and it was the same as the prices he was being told. So he wasn't being obtuse just because she was pretty. Of course, he was buying everything with the highest possible quality metal and in triplicate. So Gama-chan was already getting pretty empty. Naruto was starting to understand Kurama's insistence that he not go out to eat whenever he could afford it. Oh, Kit, I just said that so your special reward would remain something special. Oh, Naruto's eyes drifted over the rest of the merchandise. There were several weapons shops like this one that catered to the village's largely ninja population, but this was the one that Kurama recommended to him. In retrospect, That might have been why the shopkeeper seemed so nice. Kurama seemed really good at reading people but passing over all sorts of weapons that he had absolutely no training in. His attention drifted almost immediately as soon as he saw Seal's script. Hey, how much do the paper bombs cost? He had at least 50 in his pocket already, but he was curious. If his money ran out this fast, he might want to sell some stuff eventually. The woman chuckled. Sorry, but you need a license to use those. Naruto's mouth fell open. Wait, I was just told that they couldn't be sold to academy students. She looked at him strangely. Well, yes, that would be the natural thing to do. Naruto shook his head. No, what I mean is, I've been making my own for years. Naruto grabbed a literal handful from his pocket. Where do I get this license thingy? The woman paled, staring at his hand. Naruto shoved them back in. Don't worry, none of these are charged. I only do that if I think I'll need to use them. She let out a silent breath. Just ask around at the administration building. I'm sure someone there will help you. Naruto quickly took his new purchases and left before things got any more awkward. Kurama, why didn't you tell me about any of this? Stealing a few chip kunai is fine and all, but I don't want to be arrested. Don't blame me, brat. How would I know about stuff like that? This time, registration was not nearly as simple. Neither was the paperwork. Neither was explaining to half the building that he had been handling large amounts of explosives for years. Practically every person he talked to left a few shades lighter. Fortunately, in Kurama's opinion, despite needing a separate license, all that was needed was a short written test on the proper handling of the bombs. Naruto still hated it, but the fox thought it was a good thing, overall, that they had not asked for a practical demonstration. Naruto liked to be creative in his use of the things. Creative enough where he was sure that the higher-ups would be a lot more hesitant about the little Jinchuriki having access to the things. More than they already were, at least. Nobody quite forgot the days where he incessantly pranked the entirety of Konoha. The Hokage, when contacted, just smiled with a twinkle in his eye. Astered. What? Offing. He did learn that explosive tags charged, that is, were actually rather expensive. Most genin didn't bother with more than a few for that very reason. So the test for handling them was very dull and very stupid. Kurama helped him through it by wording things in a less stupid way. In the end, the test was equally annoying for both of them. It also ate up the rest of the day getting someone willing to proctor the test. It was Iruka, by the way. On his day off, he did not appreciate the complaining. He did, however, appreciate being given a stack of the things on the way out. Incidentally, this was how he figured out how expensive explosive tags were supposed to be. Naruto enjoyed his day of rest. It was odd. Kurama didn't even try to get him to do anything. He hadn't given him an actual day like this in, well, ever. Okay, technically Kurama couldn't make Naruto do anything, but he always seemed to know exactly what to say to guilt him into doing whatever he wanted. Now he could do whatever he wanted. Okay, so what he wanted pretty much amounted to seeing what sorts of new and interesting pranks he could play with his new ninja skills. Henge became his new favorite jutsu almost immediately. Probably because pranking anybody below Chunin with lethal weaponry was a bad idea even he could see a mile away, and using non-lethal weaponry scared the hell out of civilians in a way that wasn't very fun. Making a few shadow clones that could turn into practically any object, almost no cost, infinite opportunity. The only annoyance was when his other selves invariably came up with better ideas than he did and decided to change things on the fly, or started pranking him instead. But at the end of the day, he really was looking forward to tomorrow, the time when he'd get an actual Junin sensei and go on missions for real. Damn it, I forgot about this part. Kurama tuned out what was happening around Naruto. He couldn't really trust himself to comment. Naruto's male hormones were starting to kick in, and Sakura was the main target despite a clear lack of interest, or tact, on her part. Yet he also knew that she would eventually mellow out and be a generally decent person and team member. And he hated Uchiha Sasuke just about as much as Naruto did right now, but if they ended up on the same team again, well, Naruto had turned him around. Maybe the same could be done for Sasuke before he went all missing and got all the stupid ideas about revenge at all costs, and later on, peace at all costs. Naruto's vision was even stupider: peace and none of the costs. But it was working. At least it was before everything went to hell. That had nothing to do with Naruto's ideals, though his ideals were quite simply the only reason that everything had gone as well as it did. The last thing he needs right now is my cynical nonsense messing that up. Next, Team 7: Haruno Sakura, Uzumaki Naruto, and Uchiha Sasuke. So, The same team, huh? Probably same sensei, too. I knew that ballad stuff was nonsense. So what's the real reason? Of course, Sasuke is a no-brainer. Kakashi is the only remaining Sharingan user in the village, and Sasuke was a member of the main family. It would be expected that the Daijutsu would manifest in him, and he would need coaching. Naruto, well, it was likely that someone wanted to keep an eye on him. Kakashi, while nothing compared to the power thrown around during the war, was likely the strongest Chunin at this time. Sakura, well, the village seems to like splitting up the kunoichi, probably due to a tendency for them to have better chakra control or something. Maybe it's due to the fact that hormones seem to pit them against each other around this age, and forming a team with more than one is a challenge. Anyway, it was high time for a nap. Naruto groaned. He had been waiting for more than an hour. Sasuke was being a jerk like always, and Sakura was ignoring him completely. He didn't know why it would have been any different today, but he was nothing if not optimistic. He was also really bored, so he started dawdling on a slip of paper. Whoever this stupid Hate Kakashi is, he's going to be in for it. Kakashi understood Hokage's reasoning. He really did. But he still wasn't happy about it. Every year he was assigned a team with great potential but absolutely no concept of teamwork, just for the chance that he would be able to change that. Unlike the other times, though, this team came with consequences for failure. If he didn't wholeheartedly agree with the other team assignments, he would have demanded that it be changed to something more suitable. And if it actually worked, this team had quite the effective potential. Teams this hard-hitting were rare, probably for this exact reason. Strength seems to have an inverse relationship with mental stability. Kakashi stopped by the entrance to Iruka's classroom, pausing to hear the conversation inside. Naruto, grow up. What? That's what he gets for making us wait so long. I'm bored. So sue me. Our sensei is a Chunin. Naruto, he's an elite ninja. He's not going to fall for something like that. So the little prankster is setting traps? Well, I'm not one to pass up a first impression. He walked calmly through the door and was immediately pummeled with sandals. Naruto's, given his bare feet. The paper strip taped to the inside of the door frame was a good clue as to where they came from. It was a solid trap, not one he would have actually had trouble with, but he was more interested in the new team's reactions. Haruno Sakura was cringing and apologizing for Naruto's actions. Yet he noticed that she made no effort to actually stop him physically despite her verbal protests. Naruto was just laughing at him, and Uchiha Sasuke was glaring at him, completely failing his little impromptu test. Yeah, this was going great. How shall I put this? Based on my first impression, I'd have to say, I hate you. Ah, that was better. They seemed to all understand that he was still instrumental in their upcoming ninja career. Beat me on the roof. Kurama supposed that he shouldn't have been quite as surprised that though Naruto's aspirations to become Hokage were unchanged, the rest of his likes and dislikes were quite different. Well, at least the internal ones, he told Kurama. The ones he actually said out loud he used to annoy Kakashi as much as possible. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like being honest with my comrades. I like it even better when they are honest with me. I hate it when comrades use the opportunity to get to know me to give me stupid tests. And my dream is to one day become a better shinobi than Hokage-sama, and gain that position myself. Naruto had trouble keeping a straight face as Kurama rolled around their shared manscape laughing his tail off. Kakashi blinked a few times. I see. Sakura gaped openly at the boy next to her. Even Sasuke gave him a sidelong glance. My hobbies? I guess I like setting up pranks. And I like training, even when it's really hard. Kakashi nodded. Next, it was more of the same. This was one of the few moments that Kurama had actually paid attention to this early when he was here the last time. It seemed that whatever Kurama had done in Naruto's life, it hadn't affected the other two enough to make much of a difference. Though Sasuke gave Naruto a lot fewer dismissive looks, Sakura was just as oblivious and hyper-focused on Sasuke as ever. Kurama was proud of his student. Not only did he prepare far more thoroughly for what Kakashi had described as a survival exercise, he had also caught his lie about it not being wise to eat beforehand. Okay, it probably had something to do with a lack of trust with his introduction yesterday. Still, a more suspicious Naruto was an alive Naruto, even though he knew that Kakashi wasn't actually that bad. Naruto, you're late. Naruto waved at Sakura and Sasuke as he walked out of the woods. Nope, Kakashi-sensei is late, so I set up traps all over the place. Come on, I'll tell you where all of them are. Kakashi watched from the bushes. Of course, he knew that Naruto was doing this, as he was doing precisely the same thing, though perhaps not quite so enthusiastically. Does he already know what we are doing here today? I did say that it would be a survival test against me, but that sort of thing is a lot different from what they did at the academy. And with just how many explosives he was using, and how fast he was setting them, it was actually not possible for him to keep him in sight at all times. Even if he tried, there was no guarantee that he hadn't been doing this since before he got there. It would significantly hinder his mobility. Either his paranoia rivaled his own, or Naruto actually respected his skill despite falling for his earlier trap. They were only genin, though, fresh from the academy. They would still require teamwork if they wanted to get anywhere near him, traps or no. Out of all of them, Naruto seemed to be the only one that instinctively understood the concept of teamwork. Case in point, he was already notifying them of the traps he set, despite their clear lack of interest. Even if he failed the team, he would make sure that the boy got apprenticed rather than sent back to the academy. Good morning, class. The response was universal. You're late. Kakashi ignored them, sitting a clock on a tree stump. I've set this alarm to go off at noon. Right here. He raised a hand. I have 2 small bells. You must steal them from me before the timer sounds. Anyone who fails doesn't get any lunch. Instead, you will be tied to that tree stump, where I will eat your lunch in front of you. Out of the 3 of them, only Naruto seemed unaffected by this information. He certainly turned out interesting. I wonder if he called my bluff again. All you need is a single bell. But since there aren't enough to go around, well, one of you is definitely headed for the stump. Whoever that is will be the first one to fail. On your way back to school, and disgrace. Naruto frowned, studying him carefully. You may, if you so choose, use shuriken and other sharpened weaponry. Attack me with the intent to kill, or you won't stand a chance. Sakura immediately protested. But that's dangerous. Why would? Naruto waved her off, still frowning. No, he's serious. That's why I set so many traps. This guy's an elite ninja. He's not gonna get hurt for real. You know. Sasuke gave him a sidelong glance. Did you know of this test beforehand? Naruto shrugged. I guessed. He said it was a survival test against him, so I figured we'd be fighting. He rolled his eyes. Guys, I don't think any of us will be able to get a bell on our own. I certainly can't. Sakura immediately looked at Sasuke. Do you want to team up with me? We can each get a bell. And she trailed off. Sasuke just looked vaguely annoyed. Naruto groaned. I mean, we all need to work together. Have any of you tried to prank a Junin? He got a few blank stares. I gave up. By the way, it just doesn't happen. Sasuke frowned. Then what was that in the classroom yesterday? Naruto shrugged. I was bored. I didn't think it would actually work. Kakashi stood off to the side, bemused. On one hand, more teamwork was being suggested than he honestly expected from any team. On the other, they had completely forgotten that he was right next to them. It did work, though. We can take this guy. Sakura, we can't assume that ninja lie all the time. Lie about getting hit with a sandal? He groaned again. That's not what I meant. Sasuke cut in. There are only 2 bells. Why should all 3 of us help when one will automatically fail? Naruto had actually caught on to Kakashi's ruse a few minutes ago. When Kakashi said that only 9 were allowed to pass, he noticed quite quickly that the number suspiciously aligned with the 3-man teams they were organized into. He didn't actually know what the deal with this test was or why he was doing it, but he had a feeling that he would not appreciate Naruto ruining the entire thing by letting everyone know that teams were likely only passed or failed in groups. So instead, he tried a different tactic. Okay, you 2 will get the bells. I'm still helping out, though. Naruto always prided himself on his ability to cause long, awkward silences. Confused awkward silences were even better. Why? Sasuke asked suspiciously. He already had an excuse ready. I'm going to be Hokage no matter when I graduate. Naruto scratched the back of his neck. Besides, it looks like I'm the only one who actually ate breakfast. He paused, looking back at Kakashi. Oh, sensei, it's not allowed to eat during the test, is it? Kakashi blinked. No, it is not. What about food pills? Unless they are soldier pills, and a part of your attack strategy. No. Darn. Naruto looked back. Yeah, so I'm the best one for the tying up thing. I don't trust you. Why? Sasuke glared at him. You're taking all of this far too calmly. You have something planned. I know it. How can either of us trust you from not just stealing a bell from us once we get them? After all, you seem quite confident that we are much weaker than him. Naruto glanced at the clock. It was 10 to 14. They had a little less than 2 hours. More than enough time. Okay, if you 2 really want to try first, go ahead. Just don't tire yourselves out completely. otherwise we'll have no chance at all. Naruto received glares from both sides now. Kakashi cleared his throat. You know, you three can start whenever you're ready. Sasuke glanced at Sakura. Don't get in the way. Sakura hesitantly nodded, and a second later, both of them rushed into the woods on either side of their teacher. Naruto sat down in the grass and leaned back on his elbows. When around 10 seconds passed and nothing was happening, Kakashi reached into his pouch and pulled out a book, which he began to read leisurely. Shuriken flew out from the trees, and appeared to hit him solidly, and with an almost disturbing amount of blood. Oh, Naruto, that is the normal amount of blood. You kill animals all the time. You should know this. But the image of Kakashi disappeared in a puff of smoke, and a shuriken-ridden log dropped to the ground. You are a ninja. You have to get used to blood, even from a human target. I know. It's just not what I expected. I need to learn that substitution jutsu. Despite his recent shock, Naruto already had at least 6 good ideas, and the 10 minutes he spent sitting in the grass only gave him more. You need to learn the Shunshin first, and for that you need better chakra control. What? Oh, yeah, I kinda get it. You need to be fast enough to substitute stuff without people noticing. Naruto groaned and sat up. He knew that he said he would let his teammates try to attack Kakashi-sensei on their own, but something about the silence didn't feel right. Alright, Sakura first. Now, where are you? It didn't take too long for him to track her down, as she did not seem to be masking her trail very well. Besides, she was still wearing perfume. Okay, he liked the actual perfume, but even he had to admit it was kinda stupid for a ninja. He didn't really think he could actually say that out loud to her, though. A scream rang out, and his face hardened. Okay, enough is enough. 'Tis unlikely that your sensei actually harmed her severely. I know, but Hink. Kit. Naruto came quickly upon Sakura, crumpled haphazardly on the ground. She had no visible injuries. Right, Genjutsu. Naruto remembered that from class. None of it was actually taught at the academy, just ways to fight it. But the subject was a lot less interesting when Kurama mentioned that with him inside, he was practically immune, and actually using it required very precise chakra control. But to wake up a teammate was simple. Kai. Naruto pushed a palm into her back, and released a large burst of unfocused chakra. Sakura's eyes popped open. What? Where's Sasuke? Naruto helped her up. Genjutsu. What did you see? Sasuke. The context was not hard to figure out from the expression on her face. I guess I'm not the only one that was a little freaked out to see Kakashi like that. Don't worry. Kakashi's our sensei. Even if we fail, I don't think he'll go that far. Sakura looked at him closely. Why did you help me? I thought you were going to wait until we failed. Her eyes widened. Did we fail? Naruto shook his head. No, I just got impatient. Only a little. True. How did you get separated? Sakura looked down. I'm not as fast as Sasuke is. Don't worry about it now. We'll need a plan against this guy. Anything you notice about him? She sighed. Not really. I don't know how much of it was real. If I got caught in a genjutsu, I do know he's fast. Though I knew ninja could be powerful, but it's the first time I've seen it in person. Naruto nodded. Alright, then a simple plan will be fine. I'll distract him. You and Sasuke get the bells. Sakura looked away slightly. I don't think Sasuke really likes working with other people. Well, he still wants to get a bell, so that's what he'll already be doing. I'm sure he'll listen to me if he already wants to do the thing I'm telling him. And you still want both of us to get the bells? Sure. Getting Sakura to look underneath the underneath would have to come later. He could already hear the sounds of fighting. FOM. Whoa. Wow. Fire jutsu? I knew Sasuke was good, but I didn't expect that. Naruto shook his head. That wouldn't matter to a ninja like Kakashi. Fire jutsu were better used for area denial or distraction rather than direct damage due to their slow travel time. He was still kinda annoyed that Kurama didn't let him learn any elemental jutsu yet. It was not like it was hard to steal stuff from the library. Stay in the trees. Sakura. I'll distract him. You'll know when to attack. He almost went to go, but paused and looked back. But just in case, don't start until something explodes. She nodded. Right. He walked out into the clearing where Sasuke's head was sticking out of the ground. Likely an earth jutsu. Kakashi, come out and fight me like a man. He grinned, raising a fist to the sky. As soon as Kakashi walked out to admonish him, he formed a seal. Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Around 50 clones poofed into existence around him and most of them rushed immediately at his teacher. Naruto himself with the help of a few more pulled Sasuke out of the ground. Changed my mind. Distraction. Wait for the explosion. Sasuke glared at him, but nodded. In the chaos, A few clones escaped into the forest. Naruto grinned and launched into the ongoing attack with the rest of his clones. Even with his higher-than-average taijutsu ability, they were getting poofed right and left. Naruto expected this. He also planned on getting his non-clone ass handed to him. He was counting on it, in fact. So when a clone circled around into Kakashi's blind spot rigged with about 20 exploding tags, his attention would be on lecturing what he knew for a fact to be the real Naruto, who was conveniently just outside the explosion radius. Kakashi barely got singed, but that was also to be expected. It was his throbbing headache and ringing ears that were the real advantage, and he took time to compliment Naruto on his trap. Teachers were so easy to predict. So between his dulled senses, disorientation, and current distraction, Sakura was able to be just sneaky enough to grab the bells and toss one to a distinctly annoyed Sasuke. Kakashi rubbed his head. Good one. Sasuke still glared at the kunoichi. I could have done that, too. I know. I just felt like I should contribute something. And if I failed, I'm sure you could have done it even when he was a bit more aware. Kakashi ignored them and gave a significant look to Naruto. You know what this means for you, don't you? Naruto nodded, a slight smile on his face. Kakashi sighed. This kid is going to be the death of me. Naruto smiled as he stood up, tied with rope to the thick wooden post, and his teammates ate beside him. Their sensei was nowhere to be found, probably off eating his own lunch. But he wasn't worried. Sasuke growled. I don't get you. Why are you so happy? Why did you help me? Why did you help both of us get the bells like that? You're going to get sent back to the academy with nothing to show. Sakura cringed. I hate to say it, but you helped me so much back there. I don't think I would have had a chance without you there. And that thing you did with your clones, you shouldn't be the one that gets sent back to the academy. Even though that would mean that I would lose this golden opportunity with Sasuke. Arg. This isn't fair. Naruto looked at each of them in turn. Sakura. Sasuke, did you stop to consider why they divided the class into teams? Sakura frowned. Well, there weren't enough Junin to teach us all individually. And you said earlier, this test wouldn't be possible without all three of us. Have you ever heard of a ninja taking a mission alone? Okay, sure, only one ninja might survive. Sakura cringed, and Naruto kicked himself mentally, remembering the genjutsu. Not the time. But even the Hokage has advisors. Ninja are stronger when they work together. I work better alone. Others just get in my way. Naruto just gave Sasuke a glance. He didn't have to say anything. He communicated his thoughts perfectly. And just where did that get you? That's when you help your comrades get stronger. More than physical training, that was the core of what Kurama was trying to teach him. Of course, this Naruto didn't realize that much of the curriculum was ripped directly from his own older self's mind. He probably wouldn't have needed teaching if Naruto at this point even knew what a comrade was. Everybody ignored him other than the Hokage, Kurama, and later, Iruka-sensei. But he was getting closer and closer to gaining two more, and he wasn't going to give up when that goal was still in sight. Sakura was rather naive, but she was the sort of book-smart Naruto wasn't. And aside from her good looks, he was starting to see the beginnings of, if not friendship, at least mutual respect, something he got from few classmates. And Sasuke, well, as much as he wanted to hate him, he was the only other classmate that understood the meaning of pain. He was still an ass, though. Sasuke's arms stretched out, half of his meal still in his hand. Naruto blinked. What? Are you giving that to me? His stomach growled, and Sasuke hadn't retracted his arm. You need that more than I do. I ate my breakfast. Besides, what if Kakashi-sensei sees you? I'm already full. Sasuke didn't say anything else. Thanks. Sakura looked down at her own empty meal. Sorry, I'd give you some of mine, too. But Naruto chuckled in between bites. I get it. I'll be fine with this. She smiled sheepishly. Maybe I shouldn't have been dieting so much. Sasuke glanced at Naruto. That doesn't completely explain the test. If it was designed with teams in mind, why only two bells? Boom. Kakashi appeared in front of them in an explosion of smoke and wind, an expression of utter fury on his face. You pass. Sakura blinked rapidly. Naruto smirked. Sasuke nodded. Kakashi's expression changed from livid to mild cheer in an instant. Naruto here has the right idea. The rest of you have taken your first big step in the correct direction. Before now, you have followed my instructions to the letter, without question. You are indeed taught to follow orders. But a true shinobi seeks for hidden meanings within hidden meanings. You must look underneath the underneath. Naruto glanced at his stomach suspiciously. No, kid, I plagiarized. So sue me. In the ninja world, those who break the rules are scum. But those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. Sakura gasped. Oh. Sasuke glanced between them, They nodded. This exercise is now concluded. You all pass. That will be all for today. Team 7, your duties start tomorrow. Naruto groaned, rubbing the fading scratches across his face and neck. Ugh, I hate D-rank missions. They're like chores, but a lot more annoying. You do get paid quite generously for how easy they are. I would think you would be all for this sort of thing, Naruto. Naruto looked at his teacher strangely. What? Why? Kakashi shrugged. You're the one that lectured the rest of the team about the importance of working together. Surely you don't expect that to come instantly? Okay, Naruto could kind of see that now. Besides, you get paid to do it. At the same time, neither of his teammates seemed to care that much about money, and with the way Sasuke's scowl was directed at Kakashi, it seemed that he felt the same way as Naruto did. While they were certainly getting better at working together, and even gaining some practical experience with group ninja protocol, they weren't exactly getting stronger either. And now that they all knew what a ninja like Kakashi was capable of, they had to work together to even touch him. For goodness sake, they were all painfully aware of just how far behind they were. Sasuke for his revenge against his brother, Naruto for his goal of Hokage, and Sakura because she had very suddenly realized that practical skills were much more important than theoretical knowledge in an actual mission, even if Naruto kept insisting that she was valuable and important to the team. Naruto looked up. Hey, Sensei, can we take a break from missions and work on training? Kakashi blinked. Sasuke shot him a grateful look. We can still do teamwork stuff, but we get stronger, so we can do better missions. There may come a time when you are grateful for AD rank. Kakashi was still unsure just how Naruto managed to buy the kind of ninja tools he was using without money from any D ranks. He must either have been the most frugal 12-year-old he had ever met, or he wasn't eating well. He should probably look into that. Yeah, but that's not now. It's not like older ninja can't do D ranks, right? Can we go do training or not? I really want to learn stuff like the Shunshin. The Karimi, the replacement jutsu, was his original interest in the technique, but Kurama had been telling him stories about his father, and how certain ninja used it. Nobody actually knew his father's much superior Hiraishin technique or how it worked other than with seals, but using chakra to enhance his speed, even if it was only for a second, was invaluable, especially if he got good enough to use it in combat. Only if your teammates agree. Sasuke gave a short nod. Sakura hesitated a bit more, looking at each of them, before nodding as well. I see. Training it is. Then meet me at the 5th training ground in 5 minutes. For once, Kakashi wasn't late, and this time, he wasted no time messing around. You might think that I am here to teach you 3 new jutsu. He looked pointedly at Naruto. You would be incorrect. Why not? Kakashi leaned up against a tree. Because you still need to learn the basics. There was a round of general indignation. Even Sakura didn't look happy. But sensei, none of us were slouches in the academy. Even Naruto passed the written tests, and I have gotten a lot better at sparring. Hey, I'm not trying to insult you, Naruto. You're just more of a physical learner. The academy does not teach nearly enough. 3 sets of eyes jump back to their teacher. That's my opinion. Anyways, standards fall in time of peace. Yada yada. The point is, while the academy teaches the basics of weapon usage and hand-to-hand combat quite well, it barely touches on ninjutsu at all, and genjutsu even less. It teaches just the bare minimum of chakra control, just enough to find it, only the basics of using it. So today we're going to be climbing trees. Naruto turned his attention inward. Chakra control? You said I'm terrible at that. You do need the practice, and he's right. You need it if you want to be any good at ninjutsu. But can I learn? With shadow clones, the only thing you need to pay attention to is efficiency. You might create a few clones more or less than intended, but it's no big deal. You put too much chakra into a body flicker well, with your chakra levels, and your lack of control, you'll run into a tree and die from the impact. Naruto gulped. Right. He looked back up at his team, who looked just about as confused as he was about Kakashi's statement. Being stupidly vague was probably a sensei thing, Naruto reflected. So how does climbing trees help with chakra control? I climb trees all the time, but I am not very good at chakra control. Simple. You aren't going to be using your hands. And with that, he very slowly but deliberately walked up the tree. Naruto was quite familiar with pushing himself off things with chakra. Most ninja did, even if in many academy students it wasn't entirely conscious. Sticking to something, however. So how do we do that? To the surprise of absolutely no one, Sakura got it in no time at all. It took her about 3 tries total. So she went off to do other training with Kakashi while Naruto and Sasuke ran up trees over and over. It wasn't like Naruto was unaware of what he was doing wrong. Each time he failed, he knew that either he was slipping due to using pretty much no chakra, or flying backwards because he was making small explosions beneath his feet, something he did every day to get around. It was even more irritating that the gap between his and Sasuke's ability was only growing the longer they practiced. His occasional smug glances were a perfect motivator, and after Sasuke was done, it was even more of a shock to hear that they were learning water walking next. Naruto didn't even know that was a thing ninja could do. Naruto was there for a long time afterwards. Kakashi had actually called it a day quite a while ago, but Naruto had snuck back to the train almost immediately afterwards. I can sleep in a tree when I'm done. The next day they were all falling into the lake together. As expected, Sakura was having much more success with this than either Naruto or Sasuke, but only Naruto really seemed to take the constant failure in stride. As Kakashi had explained, this was not a matter of learning the theory, studying the movement, and then executing the technique, as many low-level and even more complex jutsu required. This was about intuition as much as it was about chakra control. It also required a lot more control than the tree climbing stuff, so Naruto sucked at it even worse. He could stand on the water, and even predict where he would need to direct his chakra, but actually moving it precisely enough to work was beyond him. It sucked, especially when Sakura finished and went off with Kakashi again, but Naruto could definitely see why they were doing it. He could only manage to keep his balance for about 3 seconds, but a quick test of his shadow clone technique showed him that the training was working already. The same amount of chakra produced almost twice as many clones. Of course, this meant that he would have to get used to the technique all over again, but the stark difference helped quite a bit with his motivation. Naruto was about to dispel his clones when Kurama stopped him. Wait, your clones can manipulate the chakra you give them. Yeah, so? Sasuke looked at him strangely as he crawled back out of the lake again. Naruto's voice dropped. What are you getting at? You remember what your clones do? 2 and 2 together, idiot. Naruto frowned. He was used to this treatment. Of course, Kurama didn't like to give straight answers, ever. When it came to training, that is, he stated his opinion on things quite bluntly otherwise. So what did he say? My clones can do jutsu and stuff, and I remember stuff when they go away. Naruto smacked himself in the forehead. Ah, right. Thanks, Sensei. With another seal, the 10 clones already standing around were joined by 20 more. Enough to stand all along the lake's edge, but not enough to completely crowd Sasuke out and annoy him. Don't give yourself chakra exhaustion. Drowning would be incredibly inconvenient. Sasuke himself raised an eyebrow at the new clones, but as soon as they started trying to walk on the lake, he simply nodded and ignored them again. Training was still annoying for Naruto, as half of the time, falling into the water would produce enough of an impact to knock out the clone. But it was a lot faster. This time, when Sasuke succeeded, Naruto was right behind him. Kakashi still refused to teach them a new jutsu, though. Not yet, at least. I want you two to think long and hard on what kind of shinobi you want to be. You both did well in the academy, so you should know that specialists come in all forms. Make sure you take your own current abilities in consideration. He turned to Sasuke. For example, though you do not have the Sharingan, it is likely that it will manifest at some point. Precision and control are key aspects. Genjutsu as well, though the Sharingan's variants are often significantly different than traditional kinds. And Naruto, you have mastered the use of the Shadow Clone Jutsu to an impressive degree, and have a chakra pool several times greater than my own. Naruto blinked. Wait, really? But you're super strong. You will likely be quite effective at using misdirection to make more powerful, but slower jutsu it for more devastating effect. Naruto frowned. While that made sense, and would actually be a rather useful strategy if he was meant to use some of the more complicated seals in combat, it wasn't what he had in mind. Still, sealing was his highest priority, at least until Kurama had a reasonable amount of freedom. No matter. Spend a good deal of time thinking about your decisions, and meet me back here in the morning. And remember that honing your basic skills can be far more valuable than a new jutsu. What about Sakura? She hasn't started learning any jutsu either. She recognizes her current weaknesses and is eliminating them, though I believe she is beginning to understand where she wants to go. So, what about learning a basic jutsu? The ones I see all sorts of ninja using, like the Shunshin. No? Kakashi looked at Naruto carefully. No. And with a puff of smoke, he was gone. Author's note: I looked up the canon conversion rate for Ryo. Ninja are paid well. Like, really well. I understand that higher rank missions are few and far between, but D rank missions, even split between 4, pay out around $116.57 per person minimum. Hiring ninja is expensive, but weapons and materials are also expensive. So yeah, I don't envy Tenten. Also, you may have noticed that Naruto was significantly less careful about talking with Kurama out loud. That is mostly due to Naruto's carefree nature, and no longer seeing his teammates as potential enemies. What am I supposed to do now? Don't care. Go climb a cliff with one hand or something. You can't teach me more about sealing stuff. I already finished the storage seal. I need more if I'm gonna make that seal for you. Jiraiya will be likely arriving soon. He will be more equipped to teach you. Aside from some theory, I have very little practical seals for you to learn. Are you sure there isn't something else I can do to prepare? I wanna do this as soon as I can. You know. Kurama sighed. Right. There is one thing. I am unsure that when the seal's barriers are down, that you will be able to handle my chakra. Naruto frowned. What do you mean by that? Our chakra network has adapted to the chakra required to maintain my seal. However, it has not adapted to using my chakra, as I have not been actively trying to force my way out. There will be a time that I will be happy to lend you my full power, but it is likely that doing so would have drastic effects on your body. 'Tis also uncertain to me where the lethal point would be. I like you, Naruto. Other ninja are a different matter, but I don't want you to die. Ever. He wasn't going to mention it to Naruto, or anyone for that matter, but a nagging thought had made its way into his head. He had never been dispelled before. He did not know what it was supposed to be like. The battlefield of the 4th Great Shinobi War was full of space-time altering jutsu. He did not know what happened to send him back in time. If that Naruto was not back here with him, it was likely that he had died. Kurama didn't like thinking about the concept. Okay, so what do we do? The seal is still there. Imple. I start pushing out chakra. You train with it. Really? That's it? The difficulty is that I am a being of chakra. No matter how much I try to separate it, my will is going to inevitably be mixed in. So, I don't think there's a problem. You know, Naruto. I may no longer want to slaughter every ninja on the face of the planet, but I am not easy to get along with. You will likely need to control my anger. Oh, okay, yeah, I get it now. Even though Naruto had decided long ago to forgive the citizens of the village for the way they treated and continued to treat him, there were many occasions that Kurama's own anger was so intense that he felt himself struggle to unclench his fists at the sight of them. And if he hadn't even been pushing out any chakra, you have a strong will of your own. I have confidence that you will succeed. So, why didn't you start this training earlier? I am still unsure that I should be teaching you about this. Tools are meant to be used, and this particular one is too useful. In fact, the only reason I am considering such training is that I can enforce that you only use my power during training, or if your life is in real and immediate danger. Why not? I said so. That's why. Oh, Naruto still wasn't completely satisfied, but he had long learned that pressing further wasn't really in his best interest at this point. Kurama seemed to notice this. Kit, I want us to be a team of 2. I may be powerful, but in the shinobi world, there are no shortcuts. Or rather, there are, but they almost invariably lead to death or insanity. If you start throwing around my power, and you don't have the skill to back it up, you're going to get caught off guard, die, and I won't be able to do a damn thing about it. But if you don't train using my power, you'll be in just as much trouble. So let's get going. Kurama-sensei, is it alright if I take a break for a few minutes? Kakashi-sensei, do you know anything about sealing? I see that you have thought about your future, though you may find that you struggle with sealing. Naruto frowned. Wait, really? Why? Chakra control. Most complex, battle-ready seals require quite a lot of it. Though if you are creative enough with your clones, and have quite a lot of spare ink, that may not be a problem. Certainly, your large reserves would be helpful as well. So should I do it or not? Kakashi gave a small shrug. That's up to you. Oh, and I can't teach you seals. There are a few people who know the basics, but I am not one of them. I know a few specific and useful seals. Sure, but I won't be able to teach you in the proper way. There are no seal masters that currently live in the village. Naruto groaned. Ugh, I really don't want to wait for that Jiraiya guy. Is there anyone who knows anything beyond explosive tags and storage scrolls? Kakashi's eye flicked over the scroll tucked in his uniform. and his mind went back to the many traps he had been setting before the bell test. Ah, so those were all homemade? Naruto's financial situation had shifted from make sure he isn't a kleptomaniac to vaguely worrying. He would be worried that Naruto had been practicing dangerous jutsu without instruction or supervision, but if he had gotten the attention of Jiraiya, yeah, if you ever need some explosive tags, I can make them pretty easy. He nodded. You do have the chakra for it. You don't want to be paid? Naruto smirked. I may trade some for Shunshin training. Kakashi's eye hinted at his smile. I suppose that could be arranged. He turned to the lake. How long can you stay on the surface? Naruto understood. Kurama already told him that a lack of control with that particular jutsu was dangerous. I can stay however long I want, and I can walk and stuff. But I don't think I could spar or anything like that. He shrugged. Good enough. The first thing you must understand is that while it might be relatively easy to increase your speed with chakra, increasing your perception speed or reaction time is almost impossible without some sort of bloodline limit. Therefore, the real difficulty of this jutsu is knowing where you are, where you want to be, and know exactly how much chakra you must channel and for how long. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Oh yeah, it gets even more complex if you decide to use it for more than straight line distances. Significantly more dangerous. You will not use this on more than a flat plane until I say so. Got it? Yes, sensei. Kakashi slipped his book back into his pouch. Now, the first step. Learning the Shunshin was frustrating, to say the least. As expected, Naruto constantly channeled too much chakra and went far more than intended. It wasn't like he physically couldn't channel less chakra, but unlike the much simpler clones, which he still had trouble with, this technique was complicated enough where he had to channel more to get it working at all. He could indeed channel less, but not very controllably. The technique would just fail. The second problem was, well, he kept tripping. Even on flat ground, he traveled so fast that he had no time to react to anything, or even just place his feet correctly. Diode stopped running. What? Kakashi looked up from his book. Did you say something, Naruto? Naruto grinned awkwardly, rubbing the back of his neck. No, what are you talking about? That's what I'm supposed to be doing. If you complain about the speed, just go slower. But I need to train your reaction speed, so go slower. Simple. Naruto tried again. There was a new furrow in the ground. Lower. He tried again. Take a leisurely walk. The hell? Us do it. You have to start somewhere. Naruto activated the jutsu, walking as slowly as his patience would allow. Due to his experiences in sealing, this was significantly slower than it was a year ago. He blurred 3 meters ahead. Hey, it worked. Kakashi looked up from his book, intrigued. Interesting strategy. Most ninja just jump until they get used to the speed. Naruto's face faltered. Seriously? I could have just done that the whole time? Rust me, Kit. This way is better. Don't you want to be able to fight at this speed? Yeah, I guess so. Tell me when you're bored of practicing. I have one more technique I want to show you before you go on missions. Just now, I thought you taught me every jutsu you knew about or knew how to teach. At least you already know the jutsu, but this will help you avoid needing my power. It just occurred to me as I recalled a certain memory. Huh? I already know the jutsu? So what are you going to teach me? Strategy. Now again, you aren't going to train your reaction speed by just standing around. Right. Naruto blurred again. Kakashi observed Naruto practice. His strategy was certainly an interesting one. Even without his Sharingan, he could see Naruto's movement. Most ninja just used smaller amounts of chakra, or jumped as he described. But Naruto just slowed himself physically. Counterintuitive, perhaps, for a technique that increased your speed. But Naruto seemed to have a different idea in mind than most ninja who learned this technique. When he had taught him the technique, that included masking his exit with smoke and leaves. But Naruto had almost immediately discarded that portion entirely. And now he was taking things as slow as possible. Now, he wasn't even trying to go in a straight line. He was attempting right-angle turns, and even turning back the way he came mid-dash. The only way those were even possible, even in the half-successes Naruto was demonstrating, was if he was gripping the ground like wall walking, which required concentration in itself. Naruto was not practicing a quick getaway jutsu. He was trying to increase his speed as a whole. The more he watched, the longer Naruto actually held the jutsu, which wasn't even part of what he taught. It was supposed to be a quick burst of chakra, gathered and released, not held for 5 entire seconds. Kakashi was not unfamiliar with the concept of these sorts of battle techniques. His own lightning cutter increased his speed by a ludicrous amount, the only reason that it was viable for assassination with all the light and sound it made. But even with the Sharingan, it was difficult to avoid tunnel vision, though other ninja had managed to attain that speed without a Sharingan. Well, at the very least, it will be a learning experience for the boy. Kakashi is off our collective ass, probably teaching that Uchiha brat something. Let's move on. You can train some more later. Naruto smirked. Or he's just confident I won't kill myself if left unsupervised for more than 3 seconds. He had picked up a few traits from his first sensei, probably a bit of both. Now listen, Henge. What is it used for? Disguise? Making sure you aren't recognized and stuff? It only really works on civilians, though not unless you only need it for a few seconds. T works better if you aren't using a disguise that wears orange. Still, you are somewhat right. Unless a ninja also suppresses their chakra, it's a pretty bad disguise. Assuming the enemy ninja is not a censor, and it's almost useless to ask you to suppress your chakra. You are already suppressing mine, though perhaps you should not be basing your expectations on A and BU forces or the Hokage. As long as you act as expected, it is still quite possible to escape notice. So what are you getting at? It's pretty good as a distraction sometimes, but it's not exactly a good jutsu or anything. Uses a lot of chakra too, especially if I'm trying to be an adult, almost as much as my clones. And there it was, Kurama's confirmation. He had been hoping that his memory hadn't been faulty. It didn't make too much sense that Naruto performed an even less chakra-intensive jutsu than the normal clones with better reliability than half the class. Naruto grinned. Though my sexy jutsu has some pretty great uses. Kurama rolled his eyes inside Naruto's gut. Even with his direct influence, it seemed that Naruto still was just as innocently perverted as ever. Even before puberty hit. It was weird. The jutsu did admittedly work on quite a few powerful ninja. Unfortunately, most of the ninja it worked on were allies. At the same time, he was a little disappointed that Naruto hadn't figured out anything wrong with what he said, especially since Naruto knew that his clones were exhausting for practically any other ninja. Kurama didn't point that out, though Naruto could marvel at his own stupidity later. Oh, what if you transform into a rock? Or perhaps a shuriken? Naruto shrugged. I dunno. Never thought about it. A rock might be good camouflage, though. Oh, it then. Henge. A rock now dropped to the ground with a loud thud. They were also blind, though the vibrations caused by the ground and wind were certainly an interesting sensation. And from what Kurama could sense of their new body, the rock was about the same weight as Naruto. It was smaller in size, though mass-based, not size-based. Interesting. The rock smaller. Another poof, and a smaller version of the same rock fell and rolled a little on the grass. This one was actually lighter. Rapid. With a final poof, Naruto was restored, and so was their vision. Sensei, that was kinda weird. He certainly was. Now, was there anything different about the second transformation? It used more chakra? Naruto scratched his head. Sorry, I can never get it to use the same amount of chakra unless I practice the same transformation over and over. Who did nothing wrong? Naruto. That is a simple function of the jutsu. That's not the point of this lesson. Now think of this scenario. You are tied up, and an enemy is about to score the final blow on you. How do you proceed? Naruto frowned. A what? He ropes. Naruto. How do you get out? But I need time for that. Kurama groaned. Oh, I really have to tell you everything. I'll try. Turn into a rock, idiot. Naruto blinked. Oh, wow. That's a lot easier. Ili. Naruto. Hey, it's not my fault. There were all sorts of classes on getting out of traps, and this wasn't even mentioned once. Why wouldn't everybody just do that? Everyone thinks. Naruto. While it is okay to build off others' knowledge, you need to understand how to step back and think of alternatives when necessary. Others, even respected ninja, can be wrong, or have ideas that are not fully optimized. That sounds hard, you know. Trust other people, but find something better as often as you can. Okay, that makes more sense. Why didn't you just say that? In this case, I think it's a matter of you using an entirely different jutsu. Wait, what? Remember your jutsu teacher before Iruka? Naruto made a face. Him. He taught you the wrong seals. He gaped. Why didn't you tell me? Then there was a mental shrug. T was working. Kurama. Kit, I knew that if you used the correct seals, you would be overloading it just as badly as the clones. Okay, so what does this have to do with it being a different jutsu? Our hand uses up a lot more chakra, and is entirely solid. Solid T actually changes your shape. It doesn't for other people. Oh, it does not. Naruto gasped. So you're saying I made up my own jutsu? A grin spread across his face. Don't actually know. Other Jinchuriki like yourself have adapted to their captives, gained a few powers independent of our actual chakra. That power could be one of mine. You don't know? Have spent very little of my life actually outside a host. Naruto looked down. Oh, don't worry about it, kid. Not your fault. Now, I want you to understand something. What else was different about your second transformation? Well, I was smaller and it used more chakra. So the reason it was more difficult is because I was smaller. That is true, but not the lesson I wanted you to take away from this. Do rocks perform hand seals? He gasped. You don't need them. Now, for most jutsu, it is possible to negate the need for seals. But I don't think you needed them in the first place. Seriously, why couldn't you have told me this before? You didn't think it was important. Or rather, Naruto didn't actually use the technique that much, other than right after he left the academy, and he only used it once in a way sufficiently interesting. I still can't really use it in front of others, can I? Hi, do you say that? Well, it's an advantage. Something secret. And you told me to always keep stuff like my sealing secret, so it was a surprise for enemies. His is just similar enough where most won't question it until it's too late. And Kakashi, well, he knows that I'm inside you. Many adults will look over a little strangeness in your particular case. Naruto suddenly grinned. Hey, Kurama, you feel everything I do, right? And I'm paying attention. Yes. Why? A poof of smoke erupted around them, and they were suddenly much closer to the ground. Naruto brought a paw in front of his face. This better? Naruto. Kakashi slipped away as silently as he could. The henge did not work that way, and from the rather worrying one-sided conversation he witnessed, Naruto not only had another teacher, but well, there were very few parties it could reasonably be, and the most likely one was possibly the worst one to have. The Naruto-sized fox was not a good sign, either. Even if it only had one tail. Kakashi? The Hokage looked up. Ah, I see. You have noticed too. Yes, I am aware. It worries me as well. Now, tell me everything you heard. Naruto found himself eating dirt almost immediately. He may have known how Kurama looked, or more applicably, how red foxes looked, since he didn't actually want to alarm too many people if he was seen, but he certainly didn't know how to move like one. He couldn't speak, either. Only make fox noises, which were stranger than he expected. He could yip, but that was about as close to a dog as the sounds got. I wish I could just give control to you for a bit. No, kid, thank you. Still want to get used to this, though. 'Tis possible, you know. What? Oh, switch places. The seal needs to be much looser, though. Oh, Naruto paused, thinking, that's for later. Now, we get some dinner. Naruto looked up at the sun's position. But it's so early. Kurama smiled. Oh, you really think you'll have a successful hunt if you can barely walk? Naruto gave a monkey-like fox laugh. Okay, you got me there. And you'd better be pushing on that seal. I want something to show Jiraiya. Jiraiya followed the fox from a safe distance. Was Minato right? Is it him? He somehow wanted the boy to control the fox's power, but by all accounts, he had done one better. It was worrying. He could easily be manipulated, rather than friends with the beast. But at the same time, if the boy could manage to befriend a tailed beast, well then, peace might not be too far-fetched an idea. If Naruto was being tricked, though there was no way he should loosen the seal. It was curious, though, that Naruto showed none of the overwhelming power that usually came with being a Jinchuriki. Just this odd power of his that took barely any energy at all. The name Naruto gave to the beast, Kurama. Was it possible that a force of nature like the Kiwabi had one? Or was this just a boy giving a name to someone he liked? If it was the former, what about Naruto was so special that he was the only one to know it? There was also the fact that Minato had given a purposefully faulty seal on the Jinchuriki of the Kiwabi, the most powerful tailed beast by a wide margin. Anything less than a perfect seal, well, it wouldn't go well. It wasn't supposed to go well, at least. Jirotori explained that the circumstances of the sealing were rushed to begin with. Jiraiya had expected to need to immediately tighten it. He had been preparing to return to Konoha for that very reason before the Hokage had summoned him. He wasn't sure what to think now. He had heard that his godson wanted to learn sealing, but sealing was not something that was emphasized in the academy. If it was still mentioned at all, he was excited and a little proud that someone would want to walk in his footsteps. But that feeling was now thoroughly tempered. It was a lot harder to hunt as a fox. Okay, That wasn't completely true. Once he got over his difficulty with movement, and realized that he could still use ninja techniques like tree walking, it was even easier to be stealthy and stalk his prey. But he couldn't exactly throw kunai easy meals like birds were right out, unless he caught them before they were in the air. It was only when it was starting to get dark, and his stomach was protesting, that Naruto finally understood what Kurama was doing. He had always complained to Naruto that it was hard to keep him motivated with training. Ikiraku Ramen was a good motivator, but doing that every day was hard. And while Naruto really did want to get stronger, something that abstract was hard to get excited for. You really want me to get good like this, don't you? You sound like Sasuke rat. But if you like to stay like this, I want to. You know, T's a good form to evade suspicion, especially if you make yourself a little smaller than this. Okay, T's also good for stealth. Sure, rat. Naruto couldn't stop a grin from forming. Whatever you say, sensei. That's the end, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment. This is Maelstrom signing off.